Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay, not too bad. I've listened to some pretty good videos today. But what's on my mind is people that, the saying that where a liar will believe their own lies. I never really have bought that. There might be some psychological disorders that will allow dark force energy to get in at people and aid them in believing their own lies. But it's not an actual belief. It's just a addition from an outside force helping you with whatever temptation you had fallen for, that we know whether we should do things on this planet or not. It's we convict our own hearts, and that's what my video's actually about, is going before God when the accuser's there saying, well, she did this or that or the next thing. And then do you have excuses or reasons? And when your accuser goes before God and the Christ Spirit is there on your behalf, one thing that you don't want to do, and whether you believe this is real or not, heed my words. When you're accused, do not lie. Get out of the habit of lying, because God already knows your heart. And this is a warning for that. I cannot make this any clearer. Even if you've done something wrong, you're better off telling the truth in any given situation. So if you have little, like you think white lies are okay, or little idiosyncrasies here or there, that it's no big deal, it's a very big deal. You're forever. This is a temporary situation. It's a learning tool. Yeah, we can have pleasures on this earth and do things right in the eyes of God. You can do both. You can have it all. I mean, if you have a deviant mindset, your father's the devil, you know. And if you give in to I'm not saying pleasures, I'm saying temptations. Please know the difference. There is a distinction, you know, of what actually makes the human soul and psyche healthy, happy, that type of thing. You can still have pleasures on this earth and not fall into temptation, is what I'm saying. But the worst thing you'll ever do is lie to God, because he already knows your heart, you know. Satan will aid you in your deceiving yourself, especially if you have what? Okay, just a minute. I'll light a cigarette. You know, it's not an easy subject to talk about, because I know I'm talking to somebody in particular. I actually do not know who. I just know that I was supposed to talk about this. A lot of people don't believe there's a heaven or a hell. In our physical self, within our own minds, we can be in hell. To me, that's what actual hell is that suffering. It's kind of like, they say, like God's long suffering. Well, Christ's Spirit came here to earth, and there's a lot of shady stuff going on in the world. So yeah, God's suffering is long suffering. The mercy he offers us starts with honesty. within the whole thing. I don't know who this is meant for in particular, but I have been scared to death and still told the truth um, about stupid things I've done, so just do not lie. And if you're lying to yourself about anything, get out of that habit. You better start now. Honesty starts today. And like I said, I do not know who I'm talking to. I just feel compelled within my soul to speak about this. That I do believe hell was made for Satan and his angels. Well, there's a lot of weird things. People say that there's aliens on this planet. And that hell is that Satan will suffer in hell and his angels will not um be glorious around him like dancing in a circle with pitchforks. And no, he's going to suffer. He's on this planet. His spirit is on this planet right now, deceiving people. And there's a place for him when his time's up. And this is a learning curve for everybody, but specifically the ones whose spirits have fallen along with that father of lies. These are the people I'm trying to talk to, because something tells me there's somebody along the way, or maybe more than one somebody's, that maybe just one of my videos might some of my words, whatever it is, might open your heart to help yourself. So that's why I'm talking. So yeah. Oh, anyway. Cheers, everybody. So, from what the experts say, this is supposedly Jesus's birthday today. And along with, probably, I don't know that I can talk about those buildings that fell down in New York. I don't think I can mention the name of that on here either, but I don't know. But yeah, just my eye always starts itching when I'm on here. That's nuts. I mean, they do anyway from my allergies, but yeah. Oh, ever since I was a kid, I had like weird breakouts on my skin and allergies to stuff that was just like oranges and, just weird things. Yeah, now it seems like more people have more allergies than they've ever had before. I'm not one to just say, well, I have an allergy and like I'm defected in so many areas and like that's a cool thing. It's not cool. Like I'm not a hypochondriac, or like I don't make up diseases just for the fun of it, It's like, but I do know people like that, you know, like they revel in their ailments. And see, to me, even with my food allergies, I'm trying to find out different, um, I'm experimenting on myself, like how much of something that I'm allergic to can I get by with eating if I eat something else with it? Like if it's nuts, it's a protein. Is another protein, like animal protein, with that going to help it go through my system without affecting me in a big way? Or if I had like a carbohydrate with that, like nut protein, and then maybe chips or a pretzel, or you see what I'm saying? If I could take different combinations of food, even though I have allergies, and counteract that. I've been experimenting on myself. I have nothing else to do, and my allergies are so vast. Like, you know, some of you have heard me talk, but like beans or, all legumes I'm allergic to. Whole grains and seeds, a whole bunch of things that I love and are supposedly healthy for people. But, just taking certain things, how much can um, will it benefit me at all? And now I found with, like cereal, you'd think probably isn't too good for you or whatever. But I had a couple bowls of cereal last week and one this week already after supper, like a dessert, and it didn't seem to really hurt me. It actually seemed to benefit my intestines, so my intestinal tract. So, and I still do detox and exercise and do everything pretty much that I can to stay healthy. But, I do have my enjoyments in life, but my pleasures. But it's not a guilty pleasure because I just never felt like it was affecting me like it did other people because I expel it out of my system. You'll hear me cough. Well, that's my way of working that out of my lungs, and I do. So, yeah, my lungs are really strong too, and they always will be. You might be shocked, and I should be dead according to what science says, but you'll see me live a long life. And I started smoking when I was 5. I quit for a while, and it wasn't every day. Pretty much every day after 12. Then I quit when in between 17 and 18. About 18 and a half, I started again. Then I quit one time when my oldest granddaughter was born. I quit for 10 days and then they moved away, and I thought, well, fuck that. I love smoking. So went back to smoking. So anyway, so there you go. So if my theory on my own physiology is wrong, then I should be dropping dead pretty soon here, according to statistics, if most people don't start smoking as young as I did. And I'll tell you something, what really got me going, I think what got me used to the tobacco was what I call my good grandpa, versus the bad one. What had a really cool sports car. He had a couple. One was a Studebaker Hawk, and the other one was a Studebaker Turismo and Gran Turismo. And it was like a little gentleman's sports car, pearl white and baby blue interior. Is a beautiful car. But I was in the back seat and I was just a little kid and he was smoking his cigar and I almost died back there. Then after a while I'd have to ask him to crack the window, and he didn't like it, but he would. And he quit eventually. But yeah, that's how. And then my bad grandpa smoked too. My parents didn't smoke. My mother had when she met my dad. He made her quit, but she was like 18 or I thought it was funny. So here you have this Illuminati spoiled girl that my grandpa raised, and she goes and marries my dad, who is actually from that bloodline too. Called himself a Minneapolis Jew. Well, anyway, so they met and they went out of state, and he married her because they couldn't legally get married in Minnesota, so they went to Madison, Iowa. And that night she wanted to go back to my grandfather's house, and he wouldn't let her. He said, "You married him, now you go be with him." And that's how my narcissist parents stayed together until my dad died about 10 years ago. But, and she's like 88 and still kicking. So, but I always thought that was a funny story. She was like, goes back to him that evening and wants to go back to her dad's house after she got married. It's like, oh, well, you know. Yeah, funny story. To me, it's funny because my grandpa was a kind of a take no shit, take no prisoners type of attitude. He was a businessman, and um, I wouldn't say that he was too proud. It's not so much like with Satan. It wasn't so much his pride as it was his iniquity. It was the iniquity that was found in him, like perverted shit that's going on this planet. And that's why it's very clear to me that from the Garden of Eden on, that energy has never left this planet. It's not like Satan will be loosed for this 1,000 years. He already has been. And a lot of people don't look at it like that. It's like, well, no, he did not get bound. He was cast here into human form to teach him that lesson. And there is a place waiting for him where he will suffer forever. So, and they say there be like wailing and gnashing of teeth. That's now. There's people that are suffering in hell within their own self. And I think this has a lot to do with a lot of the psychological behaviors that are going. See, people don't want to touch on the spiritual warfare. Psychologists, psychiatrists. If you took a psychologist and you were dealing with children, and we were teaching them the difference between the dark force energy and the light, they'd be healthier little individuals because they would understand the spiritual side of our human nature. That's a reality. It's not tangible, it's not material, so you can't prove it. That's the problem. But then, yet, within your mind, there it is. It's there. And it's a fact, and people know that there's a good energy talking to them and bad. And it's with either from people or that originating energy, you know. Within that blood that accepts it, it makes it, they're more susceptible to that energy and they act upon it more, especially with the ignorance of the spiritual warfare. And that's a big concern of mine in mental health care that is not even being acknowledged. So little people once in a while, they'll sneak it in their theology in with psychology. I've noticed that more out of, it's like, okay, like the Christian community separates the psychology of the human being with that spiritual warfare, whereas the Jewish persuasion has a deeper connection with that spiritual going on like that because they're fully aware of it, no matter if they're like Hasidic, if they're like more of a ritualistic type Jew. Depends on what sect of Judaism they're practicing. And the same goes with the Abrahamic faith in general. I would probably not really consider myself any religion myself, although I believe in the Christ spirit. And that's somewhere where I don't hear that a lot out of the rabbi, the Jews. I just don't. I haven't. I maybe, and they touch on it through the Holy Spirit, but, and they do touch on the Trinity more than most Christian religions do. And they can explain it a little better than the Christians do. The Jews explain the Trinity better, but still not to perfection. And nobody can actually articulate that without a family unit. There's no understanding of it. And then people are lost. They don't even know who's trying to talk to their spirit. They have no clue because nobody's teaching it the proper way because of all the cover-ups and all the lies. That's why I like what Putin says. There's a mommy, a daddy, and a baby. If you look at it in those terms, you'd understand the Trinity, not the Spirit of God, the three separate entities that work within the Spirit of God. The Father and Son are one, but they're still the divine feminine, and that's a Holy Ghost. Booyah. But people are not, oh, and then I go and drop my cigarette. They're not even talking about it, and they don't want to think about it logically at all. They'd rather stick with the two men and a baby scenario, or that God can be explained in the material only. And that's the problem we're having in psychology right there. That leaves a whole group of people with going in spiritual warfare that don't have the proper tools to combat it because it isn't being addressed properly. And for doctors that say they love other human beings and this is what they're doing in their lives because they care, and ministers and preachers and whoever, all these people that claim to love other people so much aren't getting down to the heart of the matter, even within themselves. They're not lying to themselves, they're deceiving other people with their selfishness. And here's the bottom line, or there's the bottom line. That's my biggest concern right now, is making people equipped for the war that's going on and making you equipped to stand before your maker. I can't. Scared the shit out of me. You know? I mean, you can, but you can't. So, and I'm not stupid. I might be the bravest thing on this earth, but that's a whole lot different, you know? It's like this, and I was talking about it yesterday. It's like if God had me pinned and we were wrestling, anybody else, I would raise my legs up in front of your face, or I'd smack you. I'd get loose enough something, or I'd bite you or something, but I would make you let go. I would strike you somehow, but I would not strike God because I'm not that stupid. If He were kind enough to come down in the physical sense to help me out of my ancestral stupid ways, then I'm going to be grateful for that and not deny that mercy, you know, because that's done out of love. And some people realize that in their hearts, and other people have been trained not to identify the spiritual war that's going on or the spiritual love that's trying to get into you, you know? And that's all a matter of being honest. It stems from honesty in ourselves and our own conviction, our own consciousness that is God given. So anyway, like I say, I'm not sure who this was for. Maybe it's just for myself to tell you all the shit I've been through, how my brain works, and from my studies, and that is my specialty. Knowing of the spiritual warfare from the moment I was put on this planet, I was attacked. But I also knew that I wasn't alone in that attack spiritually. So I am grateful for that. I mean, I would not be able to even talk if it wasn't for the grace of God. And I think there's some people, maybe that's what you needed to hear. I think somebody needed to hear that too. I just got a chill when I said that. It's like, okay, that was probably it. Because I was thinking about what else to talk about, and yeah, I always have something to say. I'm just trying to protect people from the conviction in your heart where, like with me, my failures and Satan's accusing me. It's like, no, you put those failures there. You want me dead, so I'm not accepting that, and I'm going to raise myself higher. It's like playing poker, and I'll raise you this. Well, I raised them the grace of God and that promise from God. So anything they want to say about any of my failures, they can just off because it has no bearing on the situation and the reality of it. If you believe that God has mercy, you'd have to accept it and be like, if your parent had mercy, you'd accept it. That's in the physical. Do you believe in the spiritual war? That's where psychology and psychiatry fails people. Right there. There's no way to make sense out of things that are spiritual in this physical world to give people the tools to battle that unless they realize that that is something they need to battle against. So how do we do this, Because they're already trying, and I mean by they, the professionals around the world, whether it's in England or America, analysis journals and studies and how they're going to try and rewrite things to lessen the severity of the sin that could condemn us or set us back and make us fail through those unbridled temptations that people we like internalize them. We make them a part of ourselves when they really go against our better nature. Stupid things we do, you know? We make them a part of ourselves, and it's not even it's a spiritual thing. It's like, okay, what we do, yeah, it inflects and infects our souls forever, you know? Think about this. They say hell is a place where that worm never dies. You know that Pink Floyd song, and the worm ate into his brain? Yeah. Well, it's the same as spiritual infection, you know? And we can't prove it. So how do we give people the tools? You know, what do you do? Yeah, you can turn to religion, but most people aren't. So what next? So we have these psychologists, psychiatrists, but they're still leaving people with that vacant spot in that area for that specific reason. It is spiritual. I think all psychosis is spiritual, period, whether it's good or bad. Like I say, I'm guided from God. It's a spiritual thing. How could I possibly prove it? Or if somebody was guided by evil, how could I possibly prove that? I couldn't. So then you would say criminal or a functioning member of society. You know, take your pick. But see, that's why, and people would say, how could a loving God make a hell? It'd be like, if that'd be the same thing as saying you're a member of society, so your families and whatever, and because you put criminals in jail that can harm other people, you're saying that, or I'd be telling you are not a loving person because you're putting this person in hell. And that's where people have to stand on their convictions. Yes, there's a difference between right and wrong, and it's not a unloving or a unjust God that would have that looming threat of a retribution for the children that accept him as their father, you know, their creator, you know. Give me one moment, excuse me, I'll be right back. I'm still here with you, I just, one moment. I'm still here, almost with you. See what I mean? It isn't an unloving God that offers mercy to everybody and gives people a chance to do his will or to will their own way through life. And it does make a difference. Satan can't will, and he will never again. You know, it's either God's will. It's like God could say it's my way or the highway. And why wouldn't that be so in anybody's house? Makes sense to me, you know? So, no, he's not unloving. It's a very loving thing. I am glad he is going to show retribution for the shit I've had done to me. It's like, yeah, these people should know and be in hell in their minds for the crap that they've done to other people. Absolutely. And if it's everlasting for them, I hope it isn't for anybody, you know? That's, I have big dreams that everybody will heal and that hell really is only like a hospice, like we take hurt souls and we put them in hospice and they're still in hell, but they're going to heal eventually. That's my fairy tale dream of the whole thing, you know. But in between there, when I'm getting tortured, some days are a little harder than others, and I don't always feel like that. And I ask God, don't let my heart be cold when you call me to talk, because I don't want to be that person, you know. A lot of really cold hearts on this planet, and there's a lot of scared hearts on this planet and hurt hearts, you know. But everybody is. This is the thing, you know. Well, here's the thing too. If you're gonna approach me in a hurtful manner, I might overlook it a little bit, but I'm probably going to come back at you with some firepower after that, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. But I'm usually pretty chill, you know. Oh. Hey, do you have any good questions? What's going on in your life? How do you feel about what I said? Don't you believe that we should have professionals out there, not just the churches or any religion, but people in the society, doctors and um, teachers? I mean, wouldn't the most important thing, why don't they teach about the ether in science class in school? Why don't they teach about spirits? And, if, like, not the foo foo boo, there's a ghost and this is Halloween. No, the actual spiritual warfare that goes on within people. That's that third part of that Trinity that people don't understand. But if you don't think, if there's a lot of non-psychosis bullshit out there, because this part of a human being is being left out of their care, you know? So how do we open up a new understanding for everybody with that knowledge? That we have to deal with the trifecta of a human being, not just the, okay, this is our physical body and the thoughts within our mind, but what about those spirits that guide us for good or bad, or a mixture of both, or whatever your understanding is of all that. But it's a real thing. And these are real human beings we're talking about. I mean, my subject here is of the utmost importance. So if there are any doctors or psychologists or psychiatrists listening to me or counselors, life coaches, let's start with some honesty within yourself. And you say you really love people. You start with that spiritual honesty right now. And then we could go forward and actually help people. How about that? Isn't that a novel idea? I don't want to be too smart-assy and flippant for people that can help other people, but it's starting to really kind of piss me off because I don't recognize anybody else really stepping up and speaking up because you're afraid to mention the spiritual thing of the whole nature of a human being. And this is a tool that we have to learn to use. Otherwise, we are going to be calling people mentally handicapped, emotionally, mentally handicapped when they're spiritually attacked. So, what the? And you see why I'm angry? Or pastors, or ministers, or rabbi, get what I'm saying? You have to be braver about this shit, or nobody's going to get helped, you know? We have to step up our game. Because the game that's being played on humanity has been played for too long and it has to stop so people actually can have a healthy, happy life without being tormented in their minds every day. That's a extremely important thing. I've got out here before, I'm like, please help me share my stuff. Tell people I don't see any recognition of anybody actually stepping up and telling the facts with that understanding, the level of understanding that's needed from the mental health care community is not there. And they say they're great minds, but you're soulless, you're heartless, you're cold. So what care is there within all that selfishness? Where the hell are you spiritually? Physically where you are, same place I am, and I'm trying to help. So what do my words sound like nothing to you? I don't just fucking get this. Could somebody share this and put some attention if you know somebody in mental health care or something? Could you just, I don't even care if you use my name. I don't care. I want this stuff to, and I've said that before and I've had it happen. Yeah, people love to, yeah, just walk on me and use my, that's fine. And you for that too. But in all reality, I'm the only one talking about this in that manner. Everybody else just barely touches on one subject or the other, but not making the whole connection of what constitutes a human being and that total health care in every aspect. And where's the true love then? From you? Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I just think people love each other and they really don't at all. Is everything so superficial? I guess obviously so. But for great minds that have lived mostly in the spiritual, to only address the physical is just extremely disappointing. People always miss the part in the scriptures where it says you're going to have a glorious body. Better than if you think you're cute now, you're going to be way cuter and a lot smarter too. I'll be happy if God just keeps me for the future and I'm not ever again by the dark force that has always tried to keep me down. I'll be peaceful, you know, and that's a really big deal, you know. I can get my adrenaline going in good ways. I don't have to have chaos to do that, you know. Would somebody please share this? It's a spiritual war, people, and other people's mental health are at stake. It's not even being addressed, not even touched. It's like, oh, so you hear voices in your head? Yeah, everybody does, and the mental health care professionals will tell you that. They have inner voices also, but they'll not address it. I know one that does, but most of them won't. But I have sympathy in that respect because some people think they have a mental illness that's become a behavioral problems that are initiated by the dark force and instilled in people when they're little. And if we don't address this with the little people, if we don't start teaching them of the spiritual warfare when they're little people, they're going to grow up and have behavior problems. I told you I was born recognizing that, and yeah, it's a gift. I'm trying to share my gift. The greatest thing a person can do is share a loving, pass on the love, pay it forward, you know? Those are my concerns. That's what's on my mind. It's trying to get emotional care professionals to wake up and smell the coffee. This is a spiritual war, and you're trying to teach the spiritual with mental tools. It's not cutting it. Yeah, we can modify behaviors, but how about if we nip it in the bud before it even begins? It's like a gardener, and you got to clip that shoot that's coming out so that little one underneath can grow. We got to get rid of that big woody one, the icky one that's draining the energy. We got to nip it in the bud. We got to clip that off so that little baby shoot can grow strong. It's closer to the vine, so it's going to be a strong little baby if we can get rid of all that woody stuff taking its energy. It's the same difference. And that's true. It's so true. I tried all these things that I am trying to get other people to understand with my own children were attacked severely. I can't stress this enough. My battle has been going on. So I cannot use men that I hope will grow out of um, things that have happened to them, just believing that whatever I instilled there will come to the surface eventually. So I can't use that as an example. I can only plead to you to understand what I'm trying to say, that they would be a brighter example of what I tried if I had some help on this planet in those areas. Even for other people, if they could help their children with the same actual spiritual tools, spiritual armor against the wiles of the devil, you know, that people think is schizophrenia or narcissism or whatever. But I'm not going to play with people and just overlook your dark sides and say, oh, okay, so you don't have an understanding of this? Oh, no, you know full well, and now I just told you again, you know? So I guess what I'm saying is I'm done pleading with people. I'm not going to say, please, please share my work. I'm going to say, God be with you, because the words that almost came out of my mouth are the ones that God doesn't want me to say. So, yeah. And that's just the upset within myself, knowing all this and seeing what it did to my kids because of my battle for other people. Yeah. And like Doug said this morning, well, it isn't. It's the good people that are attacked more because we're the ones that are trying for other human beings. That's that goodness in us that they're trying to stop for their selfish ways. It's a really big deal, I'm telling you. I don't know who's going to share this, but somebody should. Even if just to let me know you acknowledged what I said. If somebody could do that, that'd really brighten my life. Like, brighten my existence. You know? I know it's the truth, and I know it's the right way to go about with emotional care for people. I've lived through it. I rose above it with the grace of God within myself that we all have. It's all in there. Or not, right? Well, then I know who you are. Says it all. But yeah, I know God recognizes me, but for not to be recognized for my love and brilliance, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. You go find a better friend then. Yeah. Like I say too, and it's true. I don't just say it, it's actuality that water seeks its own level. So, yeah. So maybe the only person on my level actually gathered what I just said and found value in that. I can't be the only drop of water in my puddle, right? Or it's like Puddle of Mud, Blurry, that song Blurry. Oh, that's a badass song if you know it. It's horrible. Yeah, listen to it. Might give you a little insight on what I've lived through. Just a smidgen of hell, you know, all my life. So who are my real friends out there? Speak up. I need to hear somebody, you know? It's not about wealth for me. So don't think that how I feel in my heart has I can get and do anything I want to do if I put my mind to it. So don't go anywhere else. Don't take my love where it doesn't belong. It's what I'm telling you. In your mind. And just keep keep me where I belong. And that's out of the trash. Speaking out of the trash, I was listening to Sam Vaknin and Lydia, his other half, or his um, partner in time. And his book wouldn't have even been written, and most of the terms that we use today about narcissism, his book Narcissism Revisited, something else before that and then revisited. She had dug it out of the trash like in 1995. I think it was published in 99. But she dug it out of the trash and started reading it and thought it was just a great book. And that's how it all began. Boy, talk about the grace of God, because he's actually um, opened up the conversation on the dark force energy that was living and is living within himself. So for them to um, be working in the mental health care field, and her to dig that manuscript out of the trash and for it to be published, that had to be God yelling at her, hey, get that out of the trash. That's the Spirit of God working in people right there. You know, I think they know that too. Yeah, they're cool people. If you don't know of them, I've shared a lot of their videos. In fact, if you go on my community page, I always have videos that I think are just pretty cool. It's the same with Jason from Archaics had a book of, it was a 1902 book that had inserts from a book of 1529 AD, a philosopher that had written and was injected into this other book so many hundred years later. And he took snapshots and video of this book that was a friend of his girlfriend's. They had visited from Texas to New Mexico just recently, and he did a video on that. And I shared that over on my community page, and it's phenomenal. And just last week, what this guy had written, or what somebody had written in 1529, I just got through saying last week, was it's like we're all um, children in God's kindergarten class. Remember when I said that last week? That saying is in this book from hundreds of years ago. I mean, of course, people are human and we have similarities, but I just, Doug goes, do you think that was a coincidence? I said, probably not. You know, I don't really look at life so much like that. I think there's certain things that the spirit of good or the spirit of bad will put in people's lives, and that's and then our will hopefully will be God's will also, and that's how we can operate. Otherwise, I don't know. Otherwise, we're being guided by that other force, and there's a jail cell for all that in the end, whether you believe it or not. So, but I think personally for myself, the hell I've suffered has been on this planet. Not so much even within my own mind, but displayed from other human beings that carry that dark energy gleefully. Those are the ones that hurt me most. You know, the ones that have no remorse for any of their wrongdoings. They hurt people the worst, you know. Because if you're never sorry about anything that you've done to anybody, why should you have mercy shown upon you? You already do. At this point, you still do. But what if that were to end? That's what some people think. They're so godlike that what if part isn't added to what I just said. You know, it's like, well, keep doing what you're doing. You're not going to keep getting what you're getting. It's a promise to be something worse. Wow, that's not a good thought. But then you would have to believe that there were a God or a heaven or a hell. I think we do have a taste of that within our own minds. It's a spiritual war, people. I'm going to let you go. Hope somebody shares this, because the mental health professionals really need to be helping people with the tools against spiritual warfare so they can be whole-minded human beings and not be guided in hell into deeper hell with their own thoughts within themselves. And how could another person even perceive that if they're leaving the spiritual war out of the whole thing? And that is a crying shame on all these people that God talks to in their hearts, just like He does me, everybody, constantly. Okay, everybody, let your conscience be with you. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.